there's so much to parenthood because you're raising this other kid, but you're also raising yourself again because you start figuring out like, oh, well, when I was little, this happened, and that's how now I'm affected, and I'm teaching you to do this, but let me unlearn this so I can teach you the right thing or learn from you because you're doing this a different way.
Right.
And I think in a way, you know, I had a weird childhood, so I want to make sure that like my daughter has the best childhood, but then it's like, well, what does that look like?
Yeah.
What does that look like to me? And then I need to have that conversation with my husband as well. What does that look like to him? We both have fathers who are missing from our lives. And something we've talked about so many times, but we don't necessarily have discussed what do we think good fatherhood looks like. We both have really strong mothers who raised us singular, you know, by themselves and did all that. And so we almost look to that as an example. But when it comes to fatherhood, what does good fatherhood look like? And it looks so different to many people.
Right.
But what will it look like to us? And what is the conversations that are happening there?
Right.
I've been so caught up in this whole trauma thing because I know how heavily it weighs on me. And I'm just scraping the iceberg of what it is and how it's made me like act. Even certain things I'm just starting to realize where like my certain traits of oversharing or wanting to do everything for everybody is a trauma-based response because I'm trying to avoid conflict or an abusive situation or anything like that. But so many of my defense mechanisms are part of my personality that I didn't even know that's how they came about. So now I'm just peeling this onion, if you want to call it. I'm undigging this hole, just trying to refresh this garden of mine to try to figure out, okay, well, what are some of my characteristics that I am acting out upon that are part of who I am truly and are authentic and genuine? And what are those that are trauma responses? Like one I just found that I had no idea, but like if I'm cooking breakfast, I'm making eggs, there's nothing troublesome about it. But if someone asks me like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm baking eggs. Like I'm almost shocked and like, I'm sorry I'm making eggs. Like I immediately go into this like, I'm sorry I'm walking up the stairs. I'm sorry I'm reading a book. It's this apologetic way of describing my actions that I know for a fact that person didn't mean. But inside of me, that's how I hear it. And then you start wondering, and you're like, is that how I just hear all of my reality? Is that how I hear others? And I mean, I can go on and on for this, but I'm like, I didn't know that was a trauma response. I just thought, I don't know, everyone's out to get me because I'm cooking eggs, which, you know, it's a poor example, but like.
No, I totally get it. Yeah. No, I have very much the same. It sounds like we have similar trauma.
Do you mind sharing about your child? If you don't have to, if you don't want to, I would just.
Well, it's just, it's just interesting how I mean, like you said, like when you are, I had great dads. I had my parents are divorced, had a stepdad, who treated me like his own daughter. Like I had good parents, but there was still a lot of not great things that went on. And, so it's just interesting how just the things that you realize going along. I mean, my sister and I were just talking the other day about like folding towels and how we fold towels. Like
I can have a conversation about this. I can have a conversation about towel folding. So.
Yeah, like we were talking about, and she was like, I had no idea that I had so much trauma wrapped up in how I fold towels. And I was like, I had never considered that. We were talking about these towels and I was like, I do that too. And I do that too. And, you know, we were talking about, you know, why it was such a big deal about how we fold towels. Yeah. And so it's really, it's weird. I think that, and you start digging into it when you have kids and when you start thinking about how you want their childhood to be different than your own. And then, you know, even relating with your partner about, you know, I mean, like you said, like eggs, you know, or like I realized when, you know, when John will start, you know, doing the dishes, I think he's doing that because he's mad that the dishes aren't done, because that's how it was in my house growing up. When actually he was doing the dishes because they were there and he saw they needed to be done.
Yeah.
And so he just did them.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was like a lack on my part. Like, I'm sorry, I should have already had the dishes done. And he's like, literally don't care. I'll just do them. So,
Yeah. But it's important to that communicate that, because where I have found myself, at least, is when I don't share that thought.
yeah.
I hold on to it, and then I'm like, how do I make up for it now? Because if, let's say that was the situation and now he's doing something that I should feel like I should have done or something, how do I make up for it? Or, you know, just different thoughts start running through my mind, versus when there's been situations where I share a thought. One of the things that it's so dumb, I feel bad that I'm talking about, because it makes it seem like maybe my husband would get mad, but he isn't. I would think like, oh, he had to stay up late, and so I wanted him to sleep in, but we were kind of being loud with the baby, and so I was like, oh, I'm sorry I've been so loud. I'll take her downstairs. I don't want you to wake up. And he's like, oh my gosh, I love hearing you with the baby. Like, open the door. I want to hear you guys. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And in my mind, I'm like, oh, my child had stuff. We all had to be quiet. And, you know, like, he's not mad at me. And I need to remember that whoever I think is going to be mad at me isn't here, and I am safe.
Yeah.
But I struggle remembering that. And I think I'm so passionate about wanting to give my kid a really safe childhood, so she doesn't have to worry about these things that I'm constantly kind of flipping through, trying to figure out and solve. Because I'm so busy doing that, I could be doing other things. Like, I want her to have the freedom in her heart and on her mind that she isn't concerned trying to figure out what voids she needs to fill, or what validation she needs to gather from someone. I want her to feel so safe and secure in her own self that she puts all that energy and passion into whatever the heck she wants to do. I mean, if it's making eggs, go make eggs and do it however you want to. But I noticed the other day, my husband likes to leave his cabinets open and his fridge open.
Oh.
It's just a thing. And I was like, why am I so bothered by the fridge being open? Like, if he's still getting stuff, that's the way he wants to do it. I am so bothered by it. What the heck? And then, like, my dad used to yell at us for leaving the fridge open or leaving the doors open, then the temperature gets out. And I mean, I can hear it in my head. And so I think, oh no, my dad's going to get mad if you leave the fridge open. We're not living with our parents. And my husband pays our bills. If he wants to leave the AC on, he's obviously going to get the bill. He's going to figure it out. Like, he knows what he wants to do. Let him be comfortable and have whatever temperature he wants and get whatever he needs out of the fridge.
Right.
But I was like, why am I so stuck on this? And it took me a second to try to figure out, because I was like, well, he needs to just close the fridge. And I'm like, why am I mad about him opening the fridge?
Yeah.
It's such a small, minuscule thing.
Yeah.
But I had to, like, get a shovel, and I started digging. And I'm like, what the heck is this about? Why am I so mad?
Well, I think it's great that you are like, that you are digging into those things now, because I think, like, for me, I'm just now starting to do it. And so, like, as I'm working through all of, you know, trying to dig up all these things, and, you know, that onion layer that you said, like, and there's so much that I'm realizing about myself, and the, you know, the ways that I do things and why I do them this way, or why I'm triggered by certain things, while also having these teenagers, like I said earlier, like needing me emotionally.
Yeah.
And so, like I don't have the space emotionally to, you know, I guess I have to figure out how to, and for the most part, I think I do, but, you know, how to work in me while also desperately trying to do a good job to emotionally support these kids, you know, these, like, I mean, my oldest he's graduating this year. Like, he's about to, like, go be a real adult, like, on his own. And I just, I know, right? It's like a really big responsibility. And
that's weird to think about, because, like, I feel like I almost just graduated. I mean, it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. But you're like, I feel like I just graduated, and you try to think of your emotions of, like, you know, if that's like having a boyfriend, but him having a girlfriend, being accepted. Do you like the classes? Do you know what you're doing? Everyone's saying college now, but do you know what you want to do in there? Some people, you know, like,
right.
It's such a big change. And they all just say, like, oh, go to your counselor. Like, our counselors were crap. I don't even know why we went. We just got a signature. I didn't even understand that you could, like, you should talk to your counselor to figure out your path. Like, I didn't even understand that's what they were doing. But I feel like as teenagers, and since teenagers are assumed to be adults most of the time. I think they're kind of disregarded to be like, oh, you're an adult, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like the kids need a little bit more assistance, so you focus on them. But it's hard being a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard. There's so many things that are unknown. There's a lot of expectations that you also put on yourself. At least I did. Within your own like group of friends, your own town that you're in, because there's different culture, you know, there's different things you do. And I watched this video where these girls, once they get accepted into a university, they all kind of like jump, turn around and say their university and whatever, they're excited. And I was like, that was never a thing in my school, nothing we ever did. But I love that they're doing and they're so passionate about it. But then I also start thinking like, I wonder if there's some people who would feel lonely if they didn't get into like a video to do it. And so it's almost like a thing you have to do.
Yeah.
Like get your yearbook signed, but also make sure you do this video with your friends, because you know, it's like an extra activity that you have to add on to all the responsibilities that you have to do as an adult, are these traditions that are also going on in your area.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
I mean, it's just, I don't know if I have any room to speak. What I'm trying to gather for my own trauma response learning and like thing is I'm hoping to make more room inside of myself. Because right now I'm holding on to these things that aren't affecting me positively in any way. It's just things that I also recently learned that I have blocked out a lot of my childhood. Like people talk that they remember when they were 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years. I don't remember anything before the age of 6. And only like a couple of memories then pretty much I don't remember anything before the age of like 9 or 10. I mean, like I'm missing giant